Welcome to Round Glass, really warm welcome. I'm Vishvapani Blomfield, and thank you so much for joining me in this session. And it's the first in a series. We're exploring qualities of awareness. I'm really excited about this sequence. In today's practice, we'll explore how we can be present here and now, and how we can savor this moment of our experience. So you can just ask the question, what reminds you to be present? And do you have any tips for others wanting to do that? So I want to thank everyone for sharing in the chat. Now, what do we have? I see that someone says that when his dog whines or whimpers, he has to tune in to what's going on with his pup. Okay, yeah, I know that one. And he also has 3 small polished stones on his desk with the words breathe, relax, and be etched onto them. And that helps him to be present. So that's brilliant. And others have added that it's all in the breath. And someone said that they take a deep breath to refocus herself. Okay, well, thank you so much for those comments, that what you've shared. So for myself, well, I have a bit of a problem with snacking, and this is especially when I'm working from home. So I do some work, and then it's time to have a break, and I feel I want something. I'm not quite sure what. So I wander downstairs, and there is the fridge. There are the cupboards, and the cupboards are full of things to snack on. And before I know it, I'm eating something. Now, it's better than being addicted to crack cocaine, but it's still something to work with. So the best advice that I've had is to notice the feeling of dissatisfaction, okay? Feeling of wanting something, not quite knowing what it is, and I try to explore that a bit. And I've noticed that usually I just want some stimulation because I've got a bit bored or stale, and if I identify that that is the underlying need, I can find other ways to give that to myself. So that's how I've been working with snacking. Now, does it matter? Well, it matters to my waistline. Well, what can I say? I'm working on it. My snacking happens when I'm operating on what psychologists call autopilot. I'm not really present. I'm not really aware of what I'm doing. I'm just operating on habit. And the mind is programmed to be on autopilot for much of the time. So on autopilot, the plane is flying, but there's no one at the controls. We drive somewhere, and we don't quite know how we arrived. We eat a meal, but we don't really taste the food. Do you know how that feels? All of that is normal, but it also limits us. And the opposite is being present or being aware. And this is what we call mindfulness. It's an ancient practice that goes all the way back to the Buddha, though you find versions of it in many, many different cultures. And you probably know that in recent years, mindfulness has been taken up by psychologists in healthcare, schools, organizations, all the rest of it. Lots of that's happening. Now, it isn't hard to be present. When it happens, it's really simple. You just notice. The problem is remembering to do it. So, what helps you to be present? Mostly, we learn to be present by making it a practice, and that starts with meditation. Meditation is intended to break the habit by inviting us to be aware in the present moment and just to notice. That's what we're doing. Very, very simple. So let's do that. Starting by deciding how you want to sit for the practice. Okay? You need to be comfortable and at the same time alert. So just deciding how you want to sit today. How does your body want to be right now? Maybe just roll the shoulders a bit, and that gives us a sense of the body. So if I lead any movements, just make sure that they are right for you. But perhaps we could do an upward stretch, if that's okay. Just giving ourselves some stimulation, just feeling the body here and now. Don't do any of these movements if they're not right for you. Okay, and just notice how it feels. Deciding whether our eyes will be open. And that's okay, but not looking all around the room. Or if they'll be closed, which is the way that we usually do meditation practices. If it feels okay for you, we can close our eyes, and that helps us to settle into a world of inner experience, felt experience. So settling into the practice and just encouraging our awareness to be here. How does it feel to be here? And a question like that doesn't need to be answered in words. It's more about feeling, sensing. So we can start by feeling the body, just sensing the body as a whole. And then let's quickly go through it. Now our thoughts tend to bring us into the head, so let's start there. We can just soften the eyes. Just let the muscles be soft all around the eyes. And soften the face. And feeling the long spine. Bringing our awareness down to the shoulders, down the arms, and scanning downwards through the body, through the torso, so feeling the chest and noticing that it's moving with the breath, feeling the tummy moving. Just feeling, sensing all the way down the body, and then noticing where the body is resting on the floor, however you are, however you're standing or sitting or lying down. Noticing the contact where the body rests on the floor, that sense of touch and pressure, and then coming down the legs, down to the knees, all the way to the feet, the toes, and again sensing the contact. And if you like, at this point we can just take a deeper breath. The breath flow all the way in, breathing out, settling, letting the muscles soften. Just a sense of letting go as we breathe out. And these deeper breaths can just be the thing that helps us to guide our attention to the breathing, the tummy rising and falling, breath flowing in and out. Just bringing our attention here. And for a little while, we'll just be really focused on the breathing. So, noticing the sensations, directing our attention to the tummy, where the tummy rises and falls. Maybe our skin is moving against our clothing. Maybe there are other sensations like that. So the mind will want to follow thoughts. Just seeing if for now, just for now, we can just settle the attention on these sensations, feeling them, sensing them. Breathing. And as we settle, I'm just asking, where am I now? Have thoughts taken me into some other world, some other space, some other time? That's what thoughts do. So just noticing how that is. How it is to be somewhere else. And then how it is to be here. We'll do that really simply, just by noticing these sensations. So, And how does it feel to be present? As we settle, we may start to notice some different dimensions of our experience, all of them present here and now, not just the breath. There's my emotional experience. It's whatever that is, and maybe we experience that in the body. What's my emotional experience, and how do I feel that? And there are thoughts. So as we sit, as we breathe, as we direct our attention to the body and the breath, thoughts accompany us. Sometimes magnetizing our attention. Drawing us into their stories. So we're practicing letting go of that. Just letting the thought drift by. Let it go. Like a leaf on a stream or a cloud in the sky. Just letting it float by. Noticing when we get drawn into following the thoughts and when we don't and they just float by. So the body, feelings or emotions, thoughts, all aspects of our experience. And letting them center on the breath. So staying with the breath. Moving in the body. Just staying present. And we may need to give ourselves a very definite focus. And that's what the breath can provide. So staying with the breath. And just holding our experience as a whole. So the breath, but the whole body as well. So a broader, more ambient awareness. And including the body and the whole of ourselves. Noticing that our experience is changing. It's never completely still, it's never completely perfect. Thoughts are always a part of it. Just staying present. That's it. That's all we're doing. Settling. Absorbing. Resting. Breathing. So we're just starting to approach the transition as we come towards the end of the practice. And a transition isn't just a gap. It's another opportunity to be present, to notice the change. So if we consciously start to make that change by introducing a little movement, our fingers, maybe rolling our shoulders, whatever's right for you, just to encourage the body and the mind to move from one space to another, just noticing how that is. And how it is when we're ready to gently open our eyes and bring the practice to a close. So the practice may close, but awareness doesn't stop. So let's just take a few minutes to absorb the practice, and we can reflect on it. So even though it's looking at the past, just recall what was vivid for you, and how does it feel now we've finished. So whatever happened and whatever is happening, just noticing what the practice felt like, and notice how we are now in these moments of awareness. So thanks to Rhonda for your comment, who says, I will come to that one in a minute. Let's just settle now in this process of absorbing. So yes, it's helpful to get away from the idea that the practice is the thing that we do with our eyes closed and then it stops. So it's about continuation of awareness. So Rhonda, I noticed how many sounds there are around me. Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it? There's all of these different elements of our experience that are coming to us through the different senses. So sounds. I'd be really curious to know what the sounds were, Rhonda. One thing I think of when I think about this is a novel called Island by Aldous Huxley. And in this novel, it's set on a sort of utopian Buddhist island, and in the inhabitants of the island have trained myna birds, wild myna birds that are flying around everywhere, to squawk out, and they squawk out, "Attention," and "Here and now." And so that's a reminder. They squawk these things out as they fly around. And, that would be helpful. Sometimes on retreat, someone will ring a mindfulness bell. Ding! And then you stop whatever you're doing. You just pause for a moment. And it's a reminder to stop, to pause, to bring ourselves back into the present moment. So we can use these little prompts, or you may not need something external like that, and maybe there's something that you can just remind yourself of. But, of course, one of the challenges that comes with awareness is that things in the present moment may be difficult. They may be challenging. There may be physical difficulties or emotional difficulties, interpersonal difficulties or work or whatever it might be. So we need to include that as well. And I find it helpful to bear in mind various questions in order to be present. So if you want to explore this theme of being present, being here and now, not something else, just ask yourself, how do I know that I'm here? What do I sense? What do I hear or touch or taste? Really, what's happening right now? And then what pulls me away from being present? And what does it feel like? Is there something in the body? So what's it like to be present? What does it feel like to pull away from that? What experiences are easy to stay with? And what experiences are harder to stay with? So I've been talking about autopilot, and almost as if it's a bad thing, but when is it helpful to be on autopilot? And when is it helpful to think about another time or place? So that's really helpful interesting to reflect on. And do I sometimes notice an urge to change what I find in my experience? So the main thing with all of these questions is just to explore, to notice, and to learn. So I am going to leave you with some lines from Shakespeare's play Hamlet. So this is great literature now. And he's thinking about dying, but his words are also about being present. So just listen to them. If it be not now, 'tis not to come. If it be not to come, it will be now. If it be not now, yet it will come. The readiness is all. So, thank you for sharing this time together, and please continue to explore meditation with us. Check out our daily meditations live at Round Dot Glass or on our app. Have a good day. Be present. Readiness is all.